here going to be covering off the maintenance and housekeeping area of the system. So we do have two areas of maintenance in our system. The first one is going to be under Operations, Maintenance Module, General Maintenance. General Maintenance is for anything that is not a room. So I'll go to General Maintenance. When the screen opens up, you'll notice I already have a request in here. Now this is past due. This was the pool, and we were changing a filter in the pool. Now to do a new maintenance request, we click New in the lower left-hand corner. When you guys first come into this area, you're actually not going to have any areas whatsoever. This is a free form type. So once you type in an area in here, it will now stay as one of your areas. So for example, I have pool, lobby, parking lot, hot tub, pub. Okay, so I'm going to do one for my restaurant. Okay, and I'm going to schedule this for May 1st. And it's going to take 2 weeks to completion. Now, company name would be if we were getting a third-party company in. And again, this is a free form type. So here I've typed in before Gary's Pool Fitters. So if I ever was going to get this company in again, I click on the drop-down and they're there. But if it's just going to be assigned to my internal maintenance, again, just put in maintenance or just put in gym. I mean, this is really an area for them to use anyways. And here I'm going to say upholster the chairs, let's say. Okay, I'm going to click Post. And now we've scheduled that area for the restaurant. Now I'm going to close out of here, and we're going to go back in to Operations, Maintenance Module, General Maintenance. And now when I click New in the lower left-hand corner, notice that Restaurant is now in my list of areas. So again, the areas are really just anything that is not a room. Now, when an item is complete, so actually before I do that, you'll notice down below we have a print. So if I click on Print, this will show me all items that I have coming up, the dates I have these set for, who it's assigned to, and what they're doing. So let's say the pool on the 14th, I should have come in here. And what I do, I click on Edit, I click Done, and in the note here, I can put any note. So got the filters at Home Depot, and I'll put my PLU number so I know which ones to buy next time. Okay, I click Post. Now that's going to disappear from this area. Where it goes is over to the Resolved side. Okay, and then in the Resolved side, you can go back and you can also print everything that's ever been done in the areas. Okay. If you ever complete an item and you accidentally complete an item, you can then just reset to unresolved, yes, and it will send it back over to the unresolved side. Okay, so it's a very basic area, but does the trick if you want to keep track of any maintenance you have going on in any areas of your hotel. Next, we're going to go to Operations, Maintenance Module, and we're going to do room maintenance this time. So obviously room maintenance are your guest rooms. Okay, I'm going to move this over just a little bit. There we go. So we start with the room type. So I'm going to do my standard room. I have deluxe, loft, and standard. So I got to start with my standard room. I'm then going to choose room 107. Okay, we can see room 107 is currently vacant. I'm going to click on New in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to do this for the 17th and 18th. Now the end date is inclusive. That means that it's going to be out of order on the 17th and 18th, not for sale until the 19th. Again, we have the free form type on the company, but otherwise, if it's just assigned to our internal maintenance, we put their name or maintenance here. And we'll say that they are going to be replacing a broken toilet. Now, because the toilet is broken, we cannot sell this room, so we must click on Take the Room Out of Service. I'm going to click Save, and now we just put in our item. Okay, now I'm going to go to a different room. I'm going to go to room 103. 103 is also a standard room. Now here I can see this room is actually occupied. See how it says stay 80 of 90. I'm going to click New in the lower left-hand corner. Now let's say it was 11 o'clock at night, and the guest came down and said, hey, the light bulb in my bedside lamp is burnt out. Can you have them change it tomorrow? You can schedule this for tomorrow. So I'm going to do the 18th to the 18th. Again, I'm going to assign it to maintenance. And I'm going to say replace light bulb in bedside lamp. Now here I'm not going to take the room out of service. This is just a maintenance request. I would suggest to you, if you ever have a maintenance request and it's going to be for a room that's occupied, you might just want to throw a little note here. And that just gives a heads up to the maintenance that the room is occupied. It's not obvious on the report. And I'll show you the report in just a moment that the room is occupied. Now, of course, maintenance always knocks on every door before they go in, or at least they should be. But this just, makes sure that they know, gives them a heads up. Okay, so I click Save on that item. Okay, now I'm going to close out of here for a moment. I want to show you how we get back into that area. So we're going to go into Operations. Maintenance module, room maintenance. Okay, I want to do room 104. Room 104 is a standard room. So I go to my standard. I go to room 104. I can see it's vacant. I'm going to click New in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to do this for today. We're going to do it for 3 nights. So again, it will not be for sale until the 20th. This is an inclusive of, so we are not selling till the 20th. Assigned to maintenance. And we're going to say replacing the carpet in the room. Okay, so because we're replacing the carpet, we can't sell the room. So I'm going to take the room out of service and click Save. So now we get a message from Roomkey. Roomkey says room 104 is occupied. Well, it's not occupied because we can see it's vacant, or assigned. So what that means is there's a guest that is assigned to that room sometime in those 3 days. So what I tell people is before you come and take a room out of service, so I'm going to click Cancel there. We're going to close out of here. Kind of the best area to go to see what's going on with a room number itself is to go to the tape chart. Now the tape chart shows me room 104 here is a standard room, and there we can see Sarah Holdsworth. If I right-click anywhere on the tape chart, we get a legend. And the legend I'm looking at here is Sarah Holdsworth is that gold color. She's an arrival for today. Blue is in-house and so on. But now I can see that's why I'm having a problem taking this room out forward for today. So now I need to move Sarah Holdsworth. I'm going to click on Sarah. I'm going to click on Show Details down below. What I want to look for is any guest note or res note. Let's say that the guest note said, this guest always wants to be in room 104. So if that was the case, I may have to tell maintenance that we're not going to be replacing that carpet. until the 21st, until she leaves, and then I can schedule it then. But because she has no special requests, I'm going to move her. We can actually move her right on the tape chart to a different standard room. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take her from room 104, and I'm going to move her down to room 111. So I click on Sarah and drag her down to room 111. I let go. Room key will say, are you sure you want to move this room? Yes. And I'll move her down. Okay. So now I've cleared up the room. Now the other thing is, we might actually be sold out of that room type. Maybe all of the reservations aren't assigned for this day. I should also be going to my inventory calendar for the all 3 days I want to take it out of order. So here I have 61, 62, and 63 rooms available. So yeah, no problem. But if we were sold out on the on April 19th of my standard rooms, I would have to either move a guest, give them a comp upgrade to move them, or let's say we were sold out on the 19th altogether, I'd have to tell maintenance, I'm sorry, you can't have that room for 3 days. You can get done in 2, or we push the maintenance off until the 20th. Unless it is something like a broken toilet or something like that, then you have to get it done. But anyways, those are things to consider when you look at your inventory calendar. So now that we have room 104 cleared, we're going to go into operations again, maintenance module, room maintenance. Okay. Now remember I told you when you're entering in room maintenance, you need to choose your room type first. Now for some of the new employees of the hotel, they may not know all the room numbers that coincide with the room types. So that's another good reason to start on the tape chart. Because see here, I can see room 104 and behind, and I can see that it is an SNSL. So that tells me I choose my SNSL, click on the room number drop-down, and indeed I can see room 104. I'm going to click New in the lower left-hand corner. Again, we're going to do today till the 19th, assigned to maintenance. Excuse me. Replace the carpet. We're going to take the room out of service and save. Now, when that item is done, it's very important to come in here. You would click Edit, click Done, and again, you can put any notes in here. Okay? If you don't remember to come back and click this Done, the room still will go back on the 20th, but now your records will be off because the day that you complete it, room key will actually change this date. So you got to, kind of get to it the day that you're finishing. Okay, so now what about reports? I'm going to go to room 101, and I'm going to look at the Done here. This will show me room 103. Perfect. If I go to room 103 and I go to Done, this shows me that everything that has been done in the past to this room. So then I can go to Print Options, go Print Selected Room, and this will show me over time everything that I've ever had to do in this room. So you'll notice I've used this example before for the broken light bulb. Okay. Now if I go to Print Options, Print All Rooms, and click OK, this is going to give me the actual maintenance report. So here I can see room 103. From the 18th to the 18th, replace light bulb in bedside lamp. And so this is what I was saying about putting that little occupied note in there. So now maintenance knows that that room is occupied. Room 104, 17th to 19th, replace carpet. Now see this 000, that's the out of service, so out of order, which means we cannot sell this room. This is just a maintenance request on the 18th. Room 107, the 17th to the 18th, again out of order, we're replacing a broken toilet. Okay. We would then click the little print in the upper left-hand corner and give that to maintenance. Okay, so where do out of order show up? So the first place I'm going to look at is the tape chart. I'm going to click refresh here, and I'm going to right click again. If you right click anywhere on the tape chart, you're going to get that legend. And we have two legends. We have the legends of the rooms. So Sean Hoopy is gold halfway through today, so that means he's arriving today, checking out the 21st. We can see George, Rhonda, and Madeline here, all in blue. That means that they're in-house. And then the second legend is the status of the rooms. So here we can see room 104 is dark gray. That's out of order. Room 105, 106 are, we'll call that maroon or pale or peach. That's dirty. And then we have rooms that are ready as well in white. And then the last one is vacant, clean, but not inspected. And we'll talk about that in a moment when we get into housekeeping. If I go into operations, I go to my inventory calendar. See down below how I have 2 rooms out of order for today, 2 for tomorrow, and only 1 for Saturday. Okay. If I go up top to Thursday, April 17th, this button here, and click on it, we're going to get an inventory detail. So here we can see we have 14 reservations altogether. And I have 2 rooms out of order. So room 104, replace the carpet. Room 107, replacing broken toilet. So the 14 plus the 2 gives us 16 holds. So 90 rooms minus the 16, we have 74 left to sell. And you can do this for future dates as well. So if I go to Saturday, April 19th here, and click on that button, now I have 12 reservations to that point, only 1 room out for us, so that gives us the 13. I'm going to go into Operations Property Dashboard. The shortcut key for this is F1. This is a great snapshot. So somewhere at the beginning of your shift or even throughout the day, if your manager asks you, what's going on or how busy are you guys today, I'm going to go to the Property Dashboard because it really displays everything that's going on in that particular day. Here I have physically 90 rooms in the hotel. 2 are out of order. So if I click on that little blue drop down, I can see the 2 room numbers, the dates, and why they're out of order. So total rooms to sell is 88. Now that is not my availability. That is just physically I have 88 rooms to sell today. Currently occupied, I have 13 rooms. If I click that little blue drop down, I can click on room number, guest name, room type, date in, date out, so I can reorganize by these columns and then print them out. I have 9 staying over, so of the 13 rooms currently occupied, 9 are staying over and 4 are departing. Okay. With the 9 stayovers plus the 4 arrivals I have, Room Key is projecting that we will have 13 rooms occupied tonight. Now here, the arrivals are for, let's say 1 person checks in, then the arrivals will go down to 3, and the check-ins will go up by 1. Notice we've already had 17 checkouts today. So at the beginning of the day, the departures would have been at 21, but then as people check out. So it not only tells you how busy you're going to be, but how busy you were. Okay. Then we get some statistics, so early checkouts, walk-ins or same-day reservations, cancellations, guest count, complimentary rooms, group arrivals, and we're getting month-to-date and year-to-date totals. Okay, and I'll show you this in a minute when I print. In the upper right-hand corner, here's our housekeeping. So here I have 70 vacant clean rooms, 12 occupied clean, 7 vacant dirty, and 1 occupied dirty. Again, I can click on the little blue drop down. I can see which rooms they are. Now this end-of-day projection, if I click on the date here, notice that I cannot go to future dates. This is not a forecast tool, okay? But what I can do, if I go to yesterday's date, see how this changes now to end-of-day actual numbers, okay? And this is a very popular report. If I click print, so managers, you'll be interested in this. This is a statistical report here. And it will give a day-to-day comparison to last year, month-to-date to month-to-date, year-to-date to year-to-date to last year. Okay, and this kind of covers our four main measures, our occupied rooms, our revenue, average room rate, occupancy percentage, and RevPAR. Now, there's those first four that I mentioned. You're going to see those on several reports, just presented in different ways. But if your hotel uses RevPAR, revenue per available room, this is the only report you will find RevPAR on. Okay, that's just a side note for managers. Okay, so let's get out of here. And let's get into housekeeping. So for housekeeping, typically the reports are printed in the morning. So I would go into operations, I would go into housekeeping. I will tell you that if you can assign the rooms arriving that day to rooms, or assign reservations rather, to rooms arriving that day, these arrivals will show up on the, or these reservations will show up on the arrivals and will show on the housekeeping report. So if you can get the rooms done before they arrive, it's definitely beneficial. Okay, so here we have our room numbers on the left-hand side, and then we have our occupancy status. So the first thing we do in the morning, if your hotel cleans stayover rooms, so we have property management companies, condo rental places that don't actually clean the rooms until checkout. When you have a departure in the system, the room will go dirty. So what we want to do is, in the morning for our occupied rooms, we want to click Occupied to Dirty. This will automatically wipe out on our occupied rooms the Clean and Inspected button that we clicked yesterday when we updated these rooms. I'll talk more about this again. So see, if I click these two and click Post, and then I click that Occupied to Dirty, watch room 103, they're going to disappear again. Okay, so we only do this once in the morning to flip all our occupied rooms dirty from yesterday when we updated them. Okay, so now we have our full list. I'm going to talk about the room attendant and section method in just a little bit. We have our vacant column, clean column, and inspected column. So a lot of hotels will have two different levels of clean, right? So the vacant would be the, excuse me, the clean would be the person cleaning the room attendant cleaning the room, and the manager would then typically go inspect it. If you don't have the two levels, then you would just flip it, clean and inspect it. Now, I could click print down the lower right-hand corner, and it would print out all rooms. But I can use a filter too. So if I can say all rooms that are currently dirty, notice how my list shrunk quite a bit. Because I only really care about the rooms that are dirty. So now I'm going to click print in the lower right-hand corner. When I click print, we're going to see the room number. We then give the room type, right? So here's my standard rooms and my deluxe rooms, because sometimes we give a little bit more time for our more deluxe and our suites. Here we can see room 101 is a departure, it's dirty. Room 103 is occupied, day 80 of 90. Room 104 is out of order. So what you need to know is out of order rooms automatically are flipped to dirty in our system because we will want the housekeeping to go in when maintenance is done. Not today because they still have 3 days to get this done. Room 105 and 106 are vacant dirty, so maybe we had someone check out early even before we printed out the housekeeping report. Maybe it was carried over from yesterday, or maybe there was a mistake made. If I go down further to the other rooms, we have our occupied rooms, vacant, vacant, departure, and so on. Now, if I go next, we have our guest name. Now, the guest name is for the rooms that are currently occupied. And then you'll notice on John Smith, see how he has a VIP. So whenever you make a guest VIP, we just flag that on the housekeeping report. This checkout time, 11 o'clock. My default checkout time in my room key is 11. So based on the property prep documents that you guys filled out, we would have put in a default checkout time for you. So this doesn't mean that the guest is leaving at 11. It just means that they did not request a late checkout. So I showed you during the reservation training where you can change that time, right, and put in a late checkout time. And then it also shows number of guests here. Down the bottom, we get our totals. And to print this out, I'll go in the upper left-hand corner and click the little print button. So I'm going to close out of here. I want to talk about the room attendant method. So the room attendant method of signing rooms here, I have these rooms to assign. So I'm going to go to the first room, room 101, and I'm going to put in Sarah. Then when I get to room 103 and I click on the drop-down, Sarah's there. Now the out of order room, it says out of order day 1 of. I can't see, so if I just hover over the line, click and drag, now I can see it's 3. So I'm not going to assign anyone to that. Okay, I'm going to give Sarah a vacant room. I'm going to give her a couple of, one more departure. I'll give her some more stayovers. Okay, then I'm going to go back up to room 106. I'm going to type in Bob. Now when I go down to room 109, I have Sarah or Bob I can assign here. Give that one to Sarah, and then I click Post. So the benefit of this is now I can say all by room attendant, Bob, and I can print out a list for Bob. Then I can do all room attendant, Sarah, and I can print out a list for Sarah. And then they each get their own individual sheet. Now some people like this method, some people don't, because if you have a lot of hotels or a lot of rooms that are dirty, clicking on each one to choose an attendant. Not everyone's crazy about that idea, but it is there for you to use at your discretion. Okay, so now we send the housekeepers off to clean the rooms. There's a couple of ways that rooms are going to get updated. If you guys are getting a PBX interface with us, and if you're using the housekeeping codes in the rooms right now, so where you can punch in like 962 pounds into the phone, it will flow through the PBX interface and update the status of the rooms here. Different systems, whether you have a Mitel or a NEC or whatnot, they'll have different codes. So we may or may not be able to get this worked for you. When you're setting up the PBX interface, your representative from Room Key will talk to you about that, whether or not that's available. Okay, but otherwise, if we're doing it manually, maybe the person will call down from the room. So let's say Sarah calls down. So I'm going to go to room attendant Sarah, so now I'm only seeing her rooms. And Sarah says that she is done room 105. So I go to room 105, I click clean, and I click post. Because maybe Sarah only has the ability to flip rooms clean, we still need to have the manager go and double check it. So the manager goes, double checks it, all is well, so we click inspect it. Okay. Then she says room 112, 114, 118, they're all done. Now, typically for stayover rooms, we might not be doing an inspected by the manager because it's occupied. You might not want to have two people going in, so maybe we just go direct to clean and inspect it on those and click post. So I can do a few at a time here. And then again for room 303, they clean. And again, if you guys don't have that second level, you would just flip it clean and inspected and post. Okay, now let's say that Sarah says she has done room 101. Notice that room 101 is still a departure. So probably what happened is the guest left the keys in the room and then just left without stopping by the front desk, so housekeeping knows they're gone before you do. The main thing you want to keep in mind here is do not flip the room clean and inspected and then go check the room out. If you do, what's going to happen is room key is going to clear out the clean and inspected upon checkout. So you got to be very sure that you go check the guest out first and then come back in here when the room is vacant and flip it clean and inspected. Okay, I'm going to go back into Operations Housekeeping. Okay, now the next column we have is Turndown. So this would be if you guys do Turndown service in the evening. So what the staff would do, they would come in the evening, they would go to their filter and they would say, show me all occupied rooms. Now, by that time at night, the departures should be gone, right? And then it would only be showing the occupied rooms. As they do the Turndown service, they just go through, clicking off Turndown. Or when they're done, maybe they update all the rooms they did. Maybe one guy had Do Not Disturb, so I wouldn't flip it as Turndown done and click Post. Now the next night when I come back in to do the Turndown service, if I go into Housekeeping here, I would click Clear TD in the lower right-hand corner. Transaction successfully completed, okay, and that will just clear everything from the Turndown. And again, I would go to the occupied and go off again and do the Turndown service. Now, maint, def, and note, please ignore. This maint used to be maintenance, DEF used to be deficiency, but it was more like a maintenance request, and then note was what they were doing. We used to use this for maintenance, but as I just showed you a little while ago, we have that new maintenance area where you can enter in all your tickets in there and print a report and whatnot. So ignore maintenance, deficiency, and note. I'm thinking that's actually going to disappear at some point, or my programmers will find a new use for this. So now let's say it's the next day. We come into Operations Housekeeping. Again, remember the first thing you do is you click Occupied to Dirty in the morning. Transaction successfully complete, okay. And now we're going to assign the rooms. Now, Sarah and Bob are still going to be in here. So if I go to All Dirty, maybe Sarah and Bob are going to be in the same rooms once again. But maybe Sarah's off today or Bob's off today, or maybe they're fired, who knows, right? So what we can do is you can actually click on Sarah and click the delete on your keyboard, and that will remove from that room. But again, that's going through each room doing the delete. So our other option is if I go all by room attendant and click Bob, I can actually just remove Bob and then do all Sarah, remove Sarah. And now when I go back to all dirty, I just start over again, start fresh. Okay. Okay, so all dirty. And then maybe I have Tara and Jamie in that day. Okay. Now, I'm going to close out of here, and I'm going to show you a second report that can go along with housekeeping. If I go into Reports, Reservations, we have this Print Guest Notes report. I'm going to run it for today. Now, this only shows arrivals for today. It does not show people in house. And what it's going to display is any guest notes or res notes. So remember, guest notes could be special requests. So now we can see no one has any special requests. Again, these are strictly only arrivals. So what about the guests in house? So another way we recommend to get information to housekeeping. If I go back into System Configuration, Guest Services, and I talked about this during training, I have a few different types of guest services. So here I have a pet fee. Now the pet fee is set up so that it's scheduling a pet fee to happen when the guest arrives. A rollaway is scheduling a $10 rollaway fee per day to charge. If I go to Crib Pack and Play, notice that that is not transaction-based. This is an information-based. So we're just saying, I want to know where the crib and pack and play is. Maybe we have feather pillows and feather duvets. So when someone's allergic to feathers, we have a foam pillow and hypoallergenic duvet request. Again, there's no charge for this. We're just switching it out. Okay. Now, we also have some services like kayak full day rental, kayak rental, child, kayak rental, adult. So I want to do grouping in here. And the grouping I want to do, I want to take everything that is a housekeeping one. So I go over to service groupings. I would click add. I would add in the housekeeping just by typing it in and clicking post. You can see I've already done that. And so that when I'm adding a service and I edit, I can add housekeeping to that grouping if it affects housekeeping. And I'll show you why that becomes useful on a report I'm about to print out. And then for the kayak ones, see how they're under the kayak rental or kayak grouping. Right? So when I'm making a reservation, I click on New Reservation. And we'll make this for today. We'll actually assign the room. So when I get to the services, if I pull over Crib Pack and Play, notice no price goes in there. But this tells us where the crib is going to be. Extra towels and foam pillow maybe, hypoallergenic duvet, rollaway. So rollaway, not only is it telling us that we need to put a rollaway in room 115 for arrival, but also it's scheduling a charge. So I'm going to click OK there. And now we're going to go to Reports, Guest Services Daily. I would run this for today. Now, I can run for a specific service. So say I want to know where are all my rollaways today. I can go to a specific service. Or we can use that service grouping I was talking about. So the service grouping housekeeping show me all the stuff that affects housekeeping. I click OK, and here we can see we have 2 crib pack and plays. One is for room 110, that is an arrival. Another one for room 115, which is an arrival. We have extra towels in room 115 in arrival, extra towels in room 118 for a guest that is already in the house. So the first report I showed you that said print guest notes, again, that only shows arrivals. So this is a little bit more effective because I can see arrivals and I can see in-house by the codes that I'm using. Okay, so then I would print this out and send this along with the housekeeping reports to the housekeepers that have these rooms, or room attendants that have these rooms. Okay, one more report I'm going to show you under Reports, Forecast, Availability Detail. I'm going to run this for the next 2 weeks. And why this is useful for housekeeping, it's going to show arrivals, stayovers, and departures. It just gives them an idea of how busy they're going to be, so housekeeping can start to plan for how many housekeepers they're going to have in on any given day. This really goes for any department, front desk and whatnot. Okay. Okay, let's go back to housekeeping. And we're actually going to go into a different shell. So bear with me for a moment. I'm going to bring up my other webinar shell. I'm going to show you how the sections are used. So I'm going to stop showing my screen. You guys are going to go back to the meeting screen for just a moment. And I will bring up the other hotel I was speaking of. And that is Webinar Working. Okay, so under Webinar Working, if I go into Operations, Housekeeping, okay, again, still in the morning, I would click on Occupied to Dirty first thing. Okay, so here, notice I already have sections. So sections are preset. They do not change. So I have section 1, 2, and 3. Probably my sections are too big in real life, but you get the idea. Okay, so what I can do is I can say, now show me all rooms that are dirty. When I click print, Room Key will automatically take these 4 rooms, put them on one report, then section 2 all on one report, and then section 3 on all one report. It can divvy it up that way. You can even do all dirty, and then I'm going to go to room 101. I'm going to type in Bob, click post, so I just put him in the first room in section 1. Now I can go down to room attendant, Bob, and assign room attendant to section 1. Click assign. You are about to assign Bob to all rooms in section 1. Is this correct? Yes. Okay, then I'm going to go back to all rooms. I'm going to go down to section 2. I'm going to type in Sarah and click post. Then I do room attendant, Sarah, assign room attendant to section 2, assign. You're about to assign Sarah to all rooms in section 2, yes. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to go down to section 3. We're going to do Tara. So now I can do room attendant, Tara, assign room attendant to section 3, assign. You are about to assign Tara to all rooms in Section 3. Okay. So what that does now, if I do all dirty, it just gives us one quick way to assign all rooms. Now the only problem with this is, now see how Bob is in 4, Sarah has like, I don't know, 12 or something, and Tara only has 2. So sometimes on the section method, if your occupancy fluctuates up and down a lot, the section method may not work for you. Certainly during your busy times or your busy season, sections may be the way to go, but perhaps not in the slow time. But even if you were to use this and it did show up unfair like this, I could then change it. So then I would go, okay, well, I'm going to give Tara a few of Sarah's rooms here, and we're going to give Bob a few here, and post. Okay, and then I can print them out based on that. So all by room attendant Bob that are dirty. So Bob has rooms in Section 1 and Section 2. If you're interested in using this section method, okay, let me go back to a different webinar here. You can just do the free form type again. So if I go to room 101, section 1, and then click on the drop down and put all the ones in Section 1, or you can call it, I've seen 3rd floor north wing, third floor south wing, right? Stuff like that. Or some hotels have 3 buildings, so maybe it's building 1, building 2, building 3. Okay, so sections are more set and they don't change. Room attendant method is when you're just assigning to the different rooms on different days to different room attendants. Or you don't even need to do this at all using the room attendant method. Sometimes people just print out the dirty rooms, give them to housekeeping, and they divide them up their way. Okay, so that is actually going to be it for today's session. I'm going to go to the question area. And if you have any questions, please type it in at this point. I'm actually going to stop the recording for today, so thanks everyone.